After my elder brother's death, I returned home only to find myself forced into a marriage with Nira, the woman who had once been my brother's wife. If I had known father would do something like this, I would never have come back to the country. I wanted time to gather myself, but before I could, a storm swept through my life. Only 8 months earlier, my brother had married Nira. 2 months later, I moved abroad. I had always seen Nira as my brother's wife and nothing more. Though she was younger than me, never once had I imagined that she would become my life partner. But for the sake of my father's honor, I silently accepted everything. On our wedding night, Nira sat alone in the bridal room while I remained on the rooftop, drowning in my thoughts. I felt as if my life had ended. I decided then and there that once I returned abroad, I would never come back. No matter what happened, I would never accept Nira as my wife. Around 2 in the morning, I finally entered the room. Nira was sitting there quietly, crying. The moment she saw me, she stood up and said softly, "Please forgive me. Because of me, you had to face such a situation. I know you will never be able to accept me from your heart, and honestly, no one else could either. So I will never try to claim any rights over you. You can live your life however you want." After saying that, she moved away to a corner of the bed and continued crying silently. I said nothing. Burning with anger, I walked to the balcony and smoked one cigarette after another until dawn broke. The next morning, Mother woke me up. After freshening up, I sat at the breakfast table and saw Nira preparing breakfast. My irritation only grew stronger. Somehow, I finished eating and left the house immediately. My mind burned with frustration. I couldn't stand staying at home. I decided I would spend my days outside with friends and return late at night after Nira had already fallen asleep. I didn't even want to see her face. When I reached my friends, they immediately started teasing me. "So, brother, how was the wedding night? Looks like you got lucky with your sister-in-law." Their disgusting jokes made my mood even worse. Without saying much, I left and sat alone somewhere quiet. Just then, my phone buzzed repeatedly. It was Dia. I had met Dia online while living abroad, and over time our friendship turned into love. I never believed virtual love could be real, but Dia proved me wrong. Even from thousands of miles away, she cared for me so deeply that it always felt like she was right beside me. Because of all the chaos at home, I hadn't been able to message her for days. Opening Messenger, I saw her upset texts. "Did you forget me after coming back? You said you'd meet me after finishing your work. You didn't even send a message or call. Are you okay? I quickly replied, I'm okay. I was busy. Let's have lunch together today. Within minutes, she sent me her address. When I met Dia, she hugged me tightly the moment she arrived. She was modern, stylish, and incredibly beautiful, even more beautiful in person than in her photos. Any man would fall for her. As we spent time together, it felt as if we had known each other forever. All the pain of the past few days slowly disappeared. We had lunch together, watched a movie, had dinner, and before I realized it, the entire day had passed beautifully. Around midnight, I returned home unwillingly. Nira opened the door. Her sari wasn't arranged properly, and her messy hair clung softly to her face. For a few moments, I found myself staring at her. Seeing me look at her, she lowered her eyes shyly. For some strange reason, I suddenly wanted to move the hair away from her face. But I quickly shook myself out of it. What am I even thinking? No. I love Dia. Once I go abroad again, I'll send Nira divorce papers. After freshening up, I came back to the room. Nira quietly said, I served dinner on the table. I already ate outside, I replied coldly. Her face instantly fell, but she said nothing. She simply covered the food and lay down silently on one side of the bed. That night, sometime in the middle of my sleep, I suddenly woke up and realized Nira's hands were resting on my body. She was shivering from the cold. Gently, I moved her hands away and covered her with the blanket. As I looked at her sleeping face, I froze. She looked unbelievably beautiful. People often say sleeping women look beautiful, but that night I understood what it truly meant. Morning came. Nira woke up early and went to freshen up. When she returned after bathing, water dripped from her wet hair while sunlight touched her face softly. Dressed in a sari, she looked breathtakingly beautiful. I couldn't stop staring. Noticing my gaze, she asked softly, Do you want to say something? Embarrassed, I immediately looked away and rushed into the bathroom. Days passed like this. Slowly, something inside me began changing. Meanwhile, Dia started revealing another side of herself. One day, after lunch together, rain began pouring heavily. I've loved rain since childhood, so I held her hand and said, Come, let's get drenched in the rain today. Dia quickly pulled her hand away and snapped, Are you crazy? I spent so much money on makeup. Why would I ruin it in the rain? Seriously, you're starting to sound like some village boy. Her words pierced my heart deeply. That evening, when I returned home, I saw Nira soaked completely from the rain. Her sari clung to her body, and drops of water dripped from her hair. She quickly ran into the bathroom, and after changing into a blue sari, my favorite color, she stood before the mirror applying kajal to her eyes. I couldn't look away. She looked beautiful in the simplest way possible. That night, while chatting with Dia, she suddenly said, "Listen, I only like modern guys. You've changed after coming back to the country. Don't talk like some old-fashioned person." I stayed silent. For the first time, I started comparing the two women. One carried pride in her beauty. The other carried beauty in her soul. Days went by. My feelings became more confused. Then one day, everything shattered. Dia told me she was at university for an exam. But by coincidence, I saw her riding in a rickshaw somewhere else. Suspicious, I followed her. Her rickshaw stopped in front of a shopping mall. A black car pulled up nearby. A young man stepped out, and the moment Dia saw him, she ran into his arms and kissed him openly. My entire world collapsed. I couldn't even breathe properly. Later, when I confronted her, she didn't deny it. "Yes, I met him. So what? If you don't like it, leave. Plenty of guys chase after me." That night, broken and furious, I drank heavily with my friends and returned home completely drunk. Nira opened the door. She immediately realized I had been drinking. "You drank alcohol?" she asked, shocked. I stared at her silently. Her hair was messy, her eyes red from crying. Then suddenly, driven by anger, betrayal, and pain, I pulled her violently into my arms. At that moment, only one thought consumed my mind. All women are betrayers. Nira tried desperately to free herself, but eventually her strength failed against mine. That night, I destroyed the last bit of dignity she still held. The next morning, when I woke up and saw her sleeping beside me, reality struck hard. Even though she was legally my wife, I had never given her the respect or love a wife deserved. What I did was unforgivable. Guilt began eating me alive. But Nira never blamed me. Instead, she quietly said, "You have every right over me." Her kindness only made me hate myself more. Unable to bear everything anymore, I decided to leave the country again before my vacation even ended. Before leaving, I went to say goodbye to Nira. She stood by the balcony grill, wiping away tears with a weak smile. "Will we ever meet again?" she asked softly. My chest tightened painfully. But I couldn't answer. Because deep down, I had already decided never to return. Then 5 long years passed. I buried myself in parties, alcohol, clubs, and meaningless distractions trying to forget everything. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape the emptiness inside me. Finally, exhausted and broken, I returned home. When I rang the bell, a little girl opened the door. Her eyes looked exactly like Neera's. I picked her up gently and asked, "What's your name, princess?" She smiled sweetly. "My name is Maya." Just then, Mother handed me a diary. "Neera left this for you," she whispered. With trembling hands, I opened it. Inside, Neera had written everything. She wrote about discovering she was pregnant 1 month after I left. She wrote about how every woman dreams of sharing the news of motherhood first with her husband, but she couldn't, because I had never truly accepted her. She wrote about our daughter growing inside her. She wrote about naming her Maya, hoping that one day her daughter's love would bring me back. And finally, she wrote, "If I don't survive, tell our daughter her mother fought very hard to bring her into this world. Because she loved her deeply." That was the final page. There were no more words after that. Holding Maya and Neera's diary against my chest, I broke down completely. Neera had died while giving birth to our daughter. Years passed again. Today, after marrying off my daughter, I sit alone beneath the open sky. Sometimes, while looking at the stars, I feel as if Neera is watching me from above and asking softly, "So, how does loneliness feel now? Can you spend the rest of your life alone?" And every time, my heart whispers the same answer. "No, Neera, I lost. I truly lost. Please forgive me." Dear viewers, please let us know in the comments how you liked this story. And if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like. Also, to listen to more unique and emotional stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay connected with us. Thank you.